Hi, everyone. My name is Frank Candido. I handle investor relations at New RAN Wireless Inc. Today is May 8th. We're actually recording this video, well, at least in Eastern Canada in the evening, but Francis and Jim are both joining us from Vancouver. How you doing, guys?
Really good.
Very good.
Jim,
Temperature is
welcome.
fantastic here. I don't know about Montreal, but here it's pretty beautiful out there.
Oh, it's pouring rain here. So terrible
Really?
spring in the east this year.
Okay.
And Jim, welcome back to Canada. So I guess how long are you in Canada for?
Yeah, I'm here a week, Frank. It's good to be back again. I mean, I do get back now and then. I've been in Quebec a couple of times in 2023, but yeah, this is the first time back this year. Yeah, it's good to be back.
Well, listen, we haven't recorded a video in a while. And I mean, the good news is all three of us are still here. So, we've been through a lot, I guess, as a company. I receive countless emails, messages. Some I answer, some I can't answer, some I choose not to answer. It's been difficult all around, but I think we're starting to see some blue sky finally with this company, and the three of us, I think, are very excited about the near-term future as well as the long. We've always been excited about the long-term future, but I think we're starting to get excited about the near-term future. So why don't we just get into this immediately? I mean, first things, let's just talk about it. Signum, you announced this deal a week ago, a very important deal, a deal that sort of came out of nowhere in the sense that, we're all sitting here anticipating EIB, 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 and now all of a sudden we've announced a Signum deal. So why don't we tackle that first and talk a little bit about the Signum deal and the dynamics around that and what that means for the company.
I'll let Jim answer about the dynamics and how the money is going to be used and so on and so forth. But yes, it's a fantastic news for us. We know because it's our business model is pretty capex intensive. We're building infrastructure. Those infrastructure will be bringing back revenue for 10 years time, but you need to start, you need to build. And this 5 million is just allowing us to reach our dream on a not as big as what we thought with EIB would do, but it's a first 5 million that will lead to 600 sites built and probably and more, because we're just having in mind the 600 site, which is kind of the trigger, not the trigger, but where we think we're going to access EBITDA positive on a monthly basis. So this is why this one is important, because as we go, we will continue to build site, and build site will generate more cash. More cash could be reinvested. So we could do more with this 5 million, but we've always focused on the 5 million that will bring us to this 600 site. And why it's important, because at the moment you reach EBITDA positive, then you have a lot of equity investor that start opening up their eyes. So we will have access to more capital coming in when we reach that level. A lot of the large funds in Africa, especially, are looking for companies that have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years of EBITDA positive, that kind of thing. So we're early stage for them. So it's just a fantastic step towards where we are aiming. We want to do 10,000 sites in Africa, and it's still our target. We maintain the pace on this one. We have 4,600 sites under contract with MTN and Orange in 7 countries. And this is going to allow us to build 600 sites, getting the company closer to its objective to be profitable. Jim, you want to add up to this?
Well, I think, yeah, just the dynamics of how that all happened, Frank. We've been talking to a number of lenders. I think when things were slowed down and we had to do a lot of the compliance and so on for the EIB, which, by the way, has been very beneficial for the company. I think we're, much further advanced than we were when we first signed. It was back to the beginning of 2022. And that's what helped accelerate this funding. The idea with Signum was that it was a bridge. The idea was to give us funding to build, to continue on some of the results that we've had while we're waiting for these other larger tickets. We've advanced quite a bit in terms of our build and our site statistics and site economics, which Francis can talk about a bit later. But having done all of that groundwork really allowed us to accelerate and bring this 5 million. The way it works is we can use it. It's for Cameroon and DRC and potentially other countries, but we can draw any country as we're ready to do so. It refinances the money that we've already spent on these countries, so we can bring that cash into the company and deploy that into new build. And that's kind of how the numbers all stack up and get us to that number of 600. And, I think that because we have moved along, because we've de-risked the business, because we've got sites in operation, it allowed the process to happen very quickly. And also because we have more contracts now, the 7 countries, way back when we were just sitting on the 2, we wanted to talk to other lenders, and it's allowed us to bring in really good terms, good terms, better terms than what we were getting with the EIB when we hadn't proven the model just yet.
It's interesting, Jim, because you use the word de-risk. And, I've been saying this for, it seems now years, but it's probably a few years for sure, that at some level, at a certain point, we will have de-risked the business finally. I never knew how many sites it would take. Is it 100 sites? Is it 300 sites? Is it 500 sites? I don't know what the magic number is, but at a certain point, when we hit that magic number, where we've got these sites deployed and the statistics are rolling out on the sites, I mean, the calculation has got to stop being just this theoretical calculation to a much more realistic calculation. So I think an additional 600 sites is a tremendous achievement if we can get it. And this is certainly an important domino to get us there. So on that point, is that all there is from Signum? Is it this one contract with them, this one package, or is there any interest for them to expand on that? I don't know if
we've already mentioned that in press releases, I guess. But yes, Signum has already expressed interest to roll over in a larger facility and expand on their facility. So yes, they're interested. They love the space. They love what we're doing. Our mission statement to change lives of people in Africa, they love it. Of course, they are coming from the energy angle, but they want to support the type of business that we're in. So yes, they want to be in for a longer period and for a larger ticket moving forward.
Yeah, and what they did, Frank, was they came in, they said, okay, let's do a bridge, let's get you to this bigger financings. At the same time, we announced these other expressions of interest, getting up over 50 million combined from 4 different groups. And what Signum has said is, look, if you get those longer term financings, and these are 10-year contracts, so we've got 7-year tenor long-term facilities lined up, and that's what we talk about. Signum will roll into that 7 years and go alongside with others, because now they know that we've got the funding to take the build and build, what we've got under contract.
Okay, so why don't we deal with the elephant in the room, EIB? I mean, I even asked myself, so I understand 100% shareholders that do ask me daily, weekly, monthly, what the hell is going on with EIB? Like, is it alive? Is it dead? Like, where are we with EIB? Can you comment on that?
The EIB and the other DFI loans were approved 16 months ago. They're still there, but we of course need to meet the final condition precedent that we have discussed about for like a year now, plus, which is this DRC license. We'll touch a word on this coming soon. But because the approval was done like 18 months ago now, they will have to go back again to the investment committee. So it's not dead, but they will need to go back to the investment committee to get that reapproved again. But this is where we stand with this. It's still there. The money hasn't been spent elsewhere, but in fact, we will need to go back again to this investment committee. Of course, with the fact that we de-risked the project, with the revenue that we are seeing, the type of revenue we're seeing, and the performance of Cameroon, and even DRC is growing as well. it shouldn't be that complicated, but bottom line, we have to go back to the credit committee to get that approved.
Okay, so the DRC license specifically, is
Yeah.
this a requirement for EIB, or is this requirement extend to other potential lenders like Signum? How come Signum did not ask you for a DRC license?
Not true. Not true. Signum asked for the DRC license as well, but they're decoupling everything and every contract. So you can draw down on many aspects in many countries. So while the DRC license is being, so we could draw down the full 5 million only for Cameroon franc.
I got it. Okay.
Okay, so that's not a problem. But in fact, we're approaching the end with the DRC license. Why we need the DRC license today? It's not because of EIB. It's because of what we are intending to do to shift from minimum guarantee on the contract to sign a new amendment with Orange, Cameroon, and DRC, simply because we want to maintain the asset. We want to keep the ownership of the asset to increase valuation for new equity holder and also for the company itself. And with the minimum guarantee, there was a mechanism where the site were transferred to the mobile network operator after a term of 5 or 6 years, depending on the contract. But every single equity players with whom we've discussed, they did not like at all this piece, and this is why we engage with the mobile network operator to walk away from the minimum guarantee to a new mechanism called the threshold. The threshold is up to, what it means is that instead of being a fixed amount, is all the accumulated revenue from the end user up to a certain threshold. 100% of those revenue come to us, and everything extra is split between both parties. So it's not fixed, it's just up to, it comes to us. That's why we call it the threshold. And with this, we walk away from the transfer of asset, which is going to increase the valuation of the company on the long run from an equity point of view. So that's why we are doing this with the mobile network operator. Jim, you can comment if you want.
Well, the only thing I was going to say, so what it does give is it gives the mobile operator that downside protection. Okay, so we've had this issue where we've got sites built but not, quote, accepted for billing. Okay, and we've talked a little bit about this. And it's because the site may not be generating up to that minimum guarantee. So even if it's generating $100 less, the mobile operator is saying, okay, well, why would I pay that and I take a loss? So we have the confidence now in what we've seen in the sites that and what they're able to generate, that we have enough that are overperforming that minimum or that threshold that allows us to say, okay, we'll just go to a threshold on all of them. And again, it gives the MNO that downside protection. It means that all sites can be up and billing. And we also have a lot more confidence in our site selection process to know that we'll be able to, from the outset, generate this kind of revenue. And, you know, when EIB first came in and we were discussing this back in 2021, we didn't have any sites live. Now we have all these over 100 sites live, and we're seeing the stats from those sites. And we have the confidence now to say, okay, we can go on a threshold. And as Francis said, it allows us to also retain the asset. And that's something that really is beneficial from an equity provider. So we don't lose much from the debt holders because we know we're generating that minimum amount, but it attracts the equity much more because you've now got that long-term asset ownership.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think some shareholders will be happy to hear about that. Since we're talking about that, let's talk about the site performance. How are the sites doing? And we've had an update not that long ago, but what's the latest?
So, of course, Orange doesn't like much that we're doing public announcement on site revenues and so on, because we're disclosing confidential information. That's why you have probably seen some of our press releases disappearing from the network in the past couple of weeks. But Cameroon is above, on average, $1,800 per site per month. So no debate there. Cameroon is doing well, and it's sustained. And we had to increase capacity on some of the sites. We've seen revenue going up from a per site basis, and it will continue to be like this. So in terms of growth, the last 12 months, Cameroon has shown 129% growth in terms of revenue. And in DRC, by the way, we've rarely talk about DRC. People say, yeah, but what's going on? That's maybe the reason why we don't have that many sites accepted. True. But right now, the last 30 weeks have shown a 47.2% increase in revenue. We're now surpassing the minimum threshold on a lot of our sites. We are just under $1,000 per site now and growing. We're growing the number of users, we're growing the usage, and we are fully engaged in the distribution process and the commercial process. We have agents on the ground selling SIM cards, selling airtime, so we are supporting the Orange activities. And we want to see that increase over time. This combined with our site selection process that has improved dramatically, I think we are up with a lot of good future potential for DRC as well.
Okay, well, we don't want to make these videos too long either because people's attention spans aren't necessarily that long. But so just to finish up on this topic, when do you expect to continue to build new sites? Like when do you expect to start deploying more sites? Are we talking months from now, or are we talking now?
No, we're talking now, or I would say weeks. So we signed the Signum Deal. Signum Deal money will come in, and we will ignite our system integrator on the ground in Cameroon and DRC to start executing to deliver the rest of the inventory that we have in Cameroon and DRC. Once and as we go, we will be ordering the material to start building more sites. Initial drawdown is probably going to lead to finish the inventory and add 120 site additional short term, and then there will be substantial more drawdowns as we go, and those drawdowns are going to lead to more site. But I would say that we want to build 240 plus the 120 and reach 360 extremely fast. This is an objective of ours. We want to get to that number extremely fast, and we will continue on the same pace. So you will see site executed in May and June and July, and we will have a sustainable pace. And as more debt and when other equity comes in play, we will continue to increase the build and continue that. So 600 is the start, but we want to do way more than that, as you know, man.
Okay, do you want to throw out like a sort of outside date of when you think you'll reach 600, those 600 sites? Do you want to throw out an outside date, or you'd rather not?
We'll do. We'll not do the CEO way. We'll do it the CFO way. So, Jim, do you want to put your balls on the table, as they say?
Well, I'm not sure they say that in English, Francis, but I guess now we started a new expression.
Yeah. It's in French, but that's the
I figured that much.
What I can say is, the Signum money will get us to the 600 sites. That's our commitment. Okay. I think on a reasonable time scale, I would say, and EBITDA positive on a monthly basis, reasonable time scale, I would say we get to that 600 by Q1. So by this time next year, earlier than this time next year. So first quarter of 2021. Okay. As Francis said, we do the 240 plus 120 quickly, within the next few months, and then we get that 600.
Okay, so another question that comes up often is, equity. Do we need equity right now? Are we planning on doing some kind of equity right now? Or what else do you have in the works? Like, while we're waiting for this elusive EIB to come through that is still on the table, are there other deals? You've talked about other deals. So are you allowed to talk a little bit more about that without getting too specific? Are there things that are really in the works, or are they still far out?
Jim, I will let you answer that one.
Well, so we've mentioned a lot of the debt stuff. So just to be clear, we've mentioned these other expressions of interest. 4 of them come in. So we've got a big chunk of debt. To unlock that, we will need reasonable amount of equity. As we've always said, we want to bring that in at the Africa level, okay? And yes, we are talking to groups now. We're talking to a few of them. We expect to have an offer on the table imminently. It's a little bit frustrating, but I think everything in this market, and certainly things in Africa, take time. But we are expecting something imminently. The Signum money is coming in at the Africa level, and we're also trying to bring in equity at the Africa level. That means that we're not beholden to the public markets. I mean, Francis and I both believe that the potential of the company, and I'll choose my words carefully, but with the potential and what we can build and what we can generate just by generating what we do now, we are undervalued on the markets, and so we want to avoid raising at that level. So that's why we go at that Africa level. And what that means is because Canada we sell the equipment to the African subs, the more money that's up at the Africa level, the more we can bring down into Canada funded operations. And we have more flexibility because you're essentially raising into a private entity. And we're also doing something where, investors say, okay, yeah, we understand today you're not generating positive EBITDA. You're far from, okay, profitability will come shortly after that, but we're not profitable yet. So yes, the value doesn't today reflect what it should in the future. So it's a mechanism where they would convert their equity into a future value, maybe at a discount, but it gives us a lot more flexibility. So that's really what our focus is. Like I say, we're tabling discussions now and talking to people and hoping to announce something soon. But certainly with that larger chunk of equity, larger chunk of debt that we're hoping to announce as well, we'll have to bring quite a bit of equity. That's not to say that all the equity has to come up front either, okay? Because we can draw a small amount to unlock drawdowns as we go. And each time we draw more money, we build more sites, we generate more, and hopefully that will help the overall valuation as well.
Okay,
exactly. That's important.
All right, last thing on that topic, and then we'll sort of get to the end. In terms of inventory, we know that there is inventory. We've talked about it, in the past when we were building the last few sites. We had talked about the fact that we already had inventory in country. How much inventory do we have, before we need to start ordering more, equipment to build more sites?
We have sufficient inventory in those countries to build up to 240 sites. We just need to add no, not additional, to complete the 240 that we
Okay, right.
Yeah, but the turnaround time from order to receiving goods to start building site, it's about, I would say, 3 months, Frank.
Okay.
So manufacturing lead time for a tower is 6 to 8 weeks plus 6 weeks of delivery, because it's usually delivered using container overseas. And but the rest could be delivered via air, so you can start faster and this and that, but it's like 3 months of build time in order to get those units to start building. So while we build the inventory, we will be ordering those kits, and by the time we're done with the inventory build, we will continue and maintain the build side with the new inventory.
Yeah. Right, so you've got all that covered. Okay, great. Okay, listen, we did receive a lot of questions. Some were, very well articulated, etc. I think we've covered some of that stuff. Some of the things, we can't necessarily discuss, but there's a couple of things like people have suggested that our slide deck on our website is stale. When are you going to update the slide deck? Is that in the works?
Of course. We are running a deck right now with groups for equity in Africa that is completely new, and we continue to update it. But on the website, we will update a new one once we're done with the Signum plus other ones to come. But yes, we will update that and put it on our website for people to look. And there will be on that some site stats as well, without, of course, countries or things mentioned. So we'll make it general, so you cannot really triangulate from which operator it's coming from, because they they look at it carefully. Of course, it's intels for their competitors, so we have to be careful about what we disclose. But we will update. We will have an updated one.
Okay, so to summarize, then, $5 million, Signum, 600 new sites. Very confident that we can deliver on those sites. Talk about EBITDA positive sometime Q1, less than a year from now, heading in that direction. EIB still alive. DRC license is still coming. Other deals in the works, but not just in the works. Jim used the word imminent, so we can expect something hopefully very soon on an update there. So this is an addition to EIB, right? So this is new stuff, which could be quite exciting. And the current sites are doing well and continue to improve and generating, more and more money, which is fantastic, including DRC, not just Cameroon, but including DRC. And I think we've covered just about everything. So how about we end off with this? Jim, Francis, I'll let you both answer or one of you answer. Shareholders, here's your chance. You get a lot of frustrated shareholders. We read the boards, even though we don't want to read the boards, we do, right? What's your message to the shareholder?
This Signum money is what we were expecting. We now have it. So let's execute on that. We'll demonstrate that the business model is not only strong, can generate massive revenue, massive profits moving forward. So we are on the verge of just converting it into fruition, as I used several times. And the other message that that I will throw out there is also Jim and I are working heavily on how we clean up the balance sheet moving forward in terms of liabilities and debts and so on, how we repay. It will be subject to another video that we'll do. Now that this money is in, we're working on other money to come in. We'll do the balance sheet cleanup, and we will have a fantastic business to present to shareholder in the upcoming months.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, look, this 5 million, this is the first financing we've brought at the Africa level. It's the first financing at this amount since really the private placement. Okay, we've done the financings in Canada to really keep things ticking over, but this is the first kind of build-related financing, and it's a great boost or testament to the business model and what we're able to achieve. So to us, it was a long time coming. Both Francis and I are shareholders. We're frustrated like the other ones. Things take time. We've had to fight some market headwinds and all of that kind of stuff. But look, we're moving in the right direction, and I think we just know we need to execute. And we've talked about it now recently. We've talked about getting these sites that are in inventory, get them live, get to where we're generating more cash. And we have more confidence now in the model. We can see what we're doing in Cameroon, especially, that now we know, okay, let's just keep replicating. It does take time, and that's been the biggest thing that's really hurt us. But, I think it's always positive and a step in the right direction. And I feel like we've really got our arms around now the situation, the diligence. We've done our environmental and social work. We've done all our the compliance things that we had to, and now it's just about executing on that model. So feel a lot of confidence in where we're going, and a lot of really good things to come. And that's why we're doing this now, and we want to get back doing these, I think, to keep investors updated on the positive news that we have, because we're as confident as we've ever been, more confident now, I'd say, than we've ever been on where we're going. And Signum, they're not only coming in on this, but now they've immediately, we thought it would take a bit of time, but immediately come back and said, okay, introduce us to the guys for the next stage, and we want to keep with this story. So it's really positive for us.
That's amazing. Well, listen, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Enjoy the time in Vancouver. From Montreal, May 8th, I'm Frank Candido, Investor Relations at New Ryan Wireless Inc., Francis Letourneau, CEO, and Jim Bailey, CFO. Thanks, guys. Till the next time, I guess, till we record our next one.
Yes. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Frank.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Frank. Bye-bye.